Good morning. It is Charles Van Morgan. Welcome to the Charles Van Morgan Show. Today we're going to do a little thing called Review the Reviewer and talk about something that we are against. It is called Contempt for Cop. Now, a lot of people may think that we hate cops, but that is absolutely not true. We love cops. Good morning, Brett, T-I-N-G-Z. Thank you. Come on in. So, yeah, we don't have contempt for cop. We love the peacemakers when they do right, and they're getting a lot of hate nowadays. Don't be violent against cops. So we're going to do a little thing here called Review the Reviewer. So hang on board and we'll show you that. And we're going to talk about the governor's race, and we're going to discuss the campaign just a little bit. And you take my moderator away. Yeah, we'll put you back on there. We will put you back on there. Thank you for your help. And so we're going to leave the comments wide open. People can say whatever they want to. The hate messages actually are good because they give us traction. So there's a lot of haters on here. We don't let them bother us, but we'll put you back on there. And I appreciate your service. I appreciate your volunteer. Thank you so very much. You're wonderful. So have fun today. We're going to leave it wide open for the day, and we'll put you back on there. And so we're going to talk about reviewing the reviewer. We're going to talk about the governor's race and the political environment, how that we're not mentioned in the news. And we're going to be honest. This is unbridled, truthful news. And we're going to put the onus on me to get news coverage, because the reason why they're not covering us is because they don't think we're a viable candidate. And in all honesty and candor, we've got to show that we are a viable candidate. So one way you can help us do that is you can subscribe to the show and get the message out. And we don't even need the mainstream media. We can get the message out without them. They can be chasing us down, so they can cover whoever they want to. And I'm not going to whine about the news media not covering me. I mean, they'll want to chase us down if we get the information out enough, if we get the messaging out enough. And we're going to talk about that. First, we're going to review the viewer. Welcome. Come on in. Got a bunch of people in here. Thank you so very much. This is the Charles Van Morgan Show. Welcome. We're going to review the viewer. We're going to talk about contempt for a cop. Don't have that. I mean, when they do wrong, that's fine. You can object in court. Don't fight them out on the street. Do not do that. That is so very wrong. So let's review the reviewer. I call him Southern George Law. Some of the things I agree with that he says, and some of the things I don't. I can guarantee you almost, and I dare him to challenge me, I bet he's a Democrat because of his views. So come on in, review the reviewer. And I don't even know who John Goodman is. My name is Charles Van Morgan. What part of that do you not understand? I mean, somebody tells you their name and you're trying to fire them up by making fun of them. And I want you to keep doing that because your comments help me. They help the channel. So thank you so very much for being a stupid fool. Yeah. Thank you all. Come on in. So we got a bunch of people in here. We're going to review the reviewer, talk about contempt for cop. So come on in. We're going to show you a video. We'll show you a video of John Goodman. No, not really. We're going to show you a video of Southern George Law and talk to you about what he's doing. So yeah, if we can get the channel to go. And so here we go. This is
comments make you, in light of this incident right now, look completely inept and tone deaf. These guys don't care about you. If they cared about you, you wouldn't be standing in front of a podium, too afraid to take any questions from reporters over something that is absolutely of public interest, because you know you can't defend this. And if they cared about you, knowing the things that the mayor's accused you of over the last few months, and knowing you're standing up there taking arrows to defend their training and their conduct, and within a month, this is what they do?
No, he says, you can't defend this. There's a defense to almost anything, so that's obviously not true.
We do things in this community, policing problem, and it will be the reason that good police officers leave this profession, lose their lives, or take their own lives because the bad cops doing bad things.
Wow, you think a little overly dramatic?
What I want to just discuss is how we started the.
So he's saying that police officers are going to get killed and all this bad stuff. You think that's making a mountain out of a molehill because of a minor incident where no one was killed, no one was seriously hurt or injured, and here you have a lawyer making a mountain out of a molehill based on an incident where an officer was acting appropriately. But you have one of these cop haters, and I'm not going to say he's a cop hater, but I'm going to say that he has contempt for cops. And I know a lot of people think that I hate cops. I don't. I love cops. I have friends that are cops. Cops are wonderful people. Do not be violent with them on the street and follow their instructions. And unless, of course, they're trying to illegitimately take your life, and that may happen, but those circumstances are rare. Follow the instructions of police officers the best you can. But this is an incident, a minor incident, where a police officer is trying to get a man to pour out his beer. He's walking down the sidewalk, drinking tequila, violating the law, which is very dangerous. And it resulted in his arrest, and there was a scuffle. And this man's making a mountain out of a molehill. Imagine an attorney doing that. You know, they teach you that skill in law school. You get a little bit of evidence, just a little bit, and you just blow it up all to hell, calling for this to be a major investigation and all this. And there is an incident on the video that does call for some more investigation that looks really bad, but it's not as big as this man says. And the original incident was completely fair. So let's go on and listen to what he's saying. So this comes down to pretty much he's criticizing the chief of police, and this is a lawyer. And I'm going to show you that people believe police more than they believe lawyers. I mean, imagine that. They're way down on the list of people that people believe as far as respect. People believe nurses, people believe doctors. People way down on the list, number 15 is lawyers. Police is number 7. So police believe lawyers a lot more than they believe what this man is saying. So I'm not talking something that's outside the box or abnormal, but because he's making a mountain out of a molehill. Let's see how he does this, how he rigs this up. And this is how they're trained. You got somebody that's completely guilty, and how you argue that, oh, the police officer that arrested him should be on trial. Wow, imagine that. Completely skips over the evidence of the crime and the serious nature of the crime. The crime's very serious, can turn into something serious. I mean, alcohol causes a lot of problems in this world. A lot of people that commit serious crimes do it because they're under the influence. But let's don't worry about that, because that's valuable merchandise, alcohol. Not everybody drinks. Not everybody's a drunk. Not everybody thinks it's okay to be running around, walking around on the sidewalks drunk. And there's a lot of people that believe that police ought to intervene and enforce public intoxication laws and enforce open container laws. But he wants them to sit in their car and drive down the road to keep their job and keep themselves out of prison. I don't believe that. I think police ought to have full support of the community to do their job. And this is just an incident where he's trying to create a riot in Daytona Beach, Florida. So all y'all people that think I'm a cop hater, you're wrong. I used to be one. I don't like cops when they're wrong. I love cops and appreciate the peacemaking that they do. Their job's very dangerous. And I support law enforcement. So let's look at the rest of what he's saying here. He's saying, wow, we got a bunch of people in here. Thank y'all so much. So let's look at the rest.
Okay. If I'm going to be completely fair, look, the municipal code in Daytona Beach criminalizes not possession of an open container, consumption of an alcoholic beverage in public.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what the officer saw when he pulled up.
No, you don't.
Regardless of whether he actually saw the gentleman consuming the alcohol.
Yeah,
he
saw him.
will certainly say that he saw the gentleman consuming alcohol. Therefore, you have consumption, you have probable cause. But I will say, if the police officer didn't actually observe consumption, then the offense is not completed lawfully. But let's assume for a second, just for the sake of the argument, that you have probable cause for the open container violation. You got a group of guys standing on a corner with an open bottle.
So you have a man walking down the sidewalk with an open bottle of tequila, and he wants to argue that he don't think that is enough for the officer to get out and tell him to pour out the open container of tequila, and that carrying an open container of tequila down the sidewalk is not a criminal activity. Now, I would think that you could assume when you have someone carrying an open bottle of tequila that they have drank it or they're going to drink it. So I think that's a pretty absurd argument. What do y'all think?
Liquor, most reasonable people would agree that you can infer that there was consumption going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and nitpick that.
But you just did.
If you didn't actually see him consume it, then there is no violation. Having it in your hand
open
is not a violation.
It is.
Consuming it in public is a violation.
Yeah.
The real issue begins with the order to dump it out. The officer's first move, as soon as he walks up, dump it out or you're going to jail for open container. Those are your options. This is where things start to go sideways. Because if the violation is consumption.
So he says, dump it out or you're going to jail is unreasonable. And the officer said that with every bit of calmness and authority. Pour it out or you're going to jail. In an effort to make sure that man didn't get drunker, possibly, and drunkenness causes a lot of crimes. So he's saying that was unreasonable for him to say that the officer shouldn't have said pour it out or go to jail. That's perfectly reasonable, and I applaud the officer for doing that. You got somebody in clear violation of law, open in public, an open container of tequila, alcohol. You know, they used to say beer is better, but liquor's quicker. Yeah, he's going to get drunk, more dangerous quicker. And he's saying that it's unreasonable for a police officer to stop when they have an open container law in Daytona Beach, Florida, and tell him to pour it out or go to jail. I mean, that's a pretty good deal. You pour it out and you go on your way. But that young man has contempt for a cop, and that's what this is about. He wants to make it an issue with bad policing, and he wants to make it a racial issue, that they're over-policing minority areas. Well, if people in white communities are walking down the sidewalk, open container, drinking alcohol, then they would stop. When I was a cop, I would have stopped them too. And there are black people in white communities and white people in black communities. So there's no minority communities, I don't think. What there is poor communities and rich communities. It's the elite versus the rest of us. Now, that is the difference in how they police in different areas. But I don't think that they would police any different in an elite area as they did in this area. And he is challenging the cop and trying to deter law enforcement from doing their jobs, because he is saying that he had no right to get out of his car and say, pour out the alcohol or go to jail, which I think is a very reasonable deal for the man who could have been cited for open container or even arrested if they have that in that city where he has that choice. But he's trying to make this into, and if you go on with this, that it's the reason why, and you just heard him, that officers kill themselves, there's riots and police killings, because a police officer got out of his car in a calm, authoritative manner, told the man that was acting illegally with alcohol, that's a very dangerous drug, causes a lot of crime, and trying to stop any future crime from him getting more drunk and not able to think. And he's elevating this to cops get killed and the community riots because the cop is telling the man to pour out his alcohol or go to jail in an authoritative, reasonable manner. And I'll show you what he said, turning this from a molehill into a damn mountain, and wanting to convict the cop and turn the city into a riotous area and blaming all murders and all suicides on a cop getting out of his car saying, pour it out or go to jail. I mean, that's a reasonable thing. If I were in that case when I was young, I'd have poured it out. But we don't have a problem with the cop not doing his job, and the cop should have did his job, did exactly what he should do. What we have here is a problem with contempt for cop, which is wrong. It could get you killed. Don't do that. You can fight them out in court, and there's some cops I agree you should have contempt for. They're bad police officers. I've literally been beat up by police wrongly. I still don't have contempt for cop. And there are cases where they do. This is not one of them, I don't believe, except for one incident that does look bad in this video, where after he's arrested, he does maybe go a little too far. You can decide for yourself, but this Southern Georgia law, as I like to call him, I agree with a lot of stuff he says, but in this particular incident, he's completely wrong. And so let's go on with this video and look at it. If we can get it to.
Then the alcohol itself is evidence. The illegal act is consuming, not possessing the bottle. That means that the officer has multiple law enforcement options to remedy this issue. He can get an ID and issue a citation. He can seize the bottle of liquor for evidence. He can pour it out himself if he wants to. The law allows him to do that. He can tell them to stop drinking it because they're currently breaking the law. Any of those actions accomplish the enforcement goal. The enforcement goal is, you guys understand you can't be out here drinking liquor on the public street. And the fact that you're doing it right in front of us means that you don't care. So we've got to fix that. But ordering the citizen to destroy his own property does not accomplish anything the officer couldn't do himself. And so when a command...
Ordering the man to pour out his property, this is just a perspective thing. Alcohol, it is property. It is a very dangerous drug. It's responsible for a lot of deaths on the roadways. Hundreds every day. If you've ever been a real police officer really on the road, he says he has, I don't know. You see a lot of bad things happen in car wrecks, children dead, cars mangled because of that so valuable property that he elevates to a high level. He had to pour out his alcohol. Wow. That's alcohol. It is property, but it's a very dangerous drug. It causes bad things not controlled, and there's laws that regulate it because it's so dangerous. It's not something so valuable that we need to worship and don't ever let a drop of it pour out. I mean, wow, that's just perspective. Alcohol is a dangerous drug. If you drink, you should be very careful. I personally don't. I've seen a lot of bad things because of it, and people will make up your own mind, but pouring out alcohol on the side of the road with a young person walking down the road who are responsible for more crimes, violent crimes that younger people are. I have a Master of Arts in Sociology, and a lot of it is due to under the influence of alcohol, and him elevating that to the valuable property of alcohol and saying it's such a horrific thing for that police officer to tell him to pour out his property. Wow. I mean, can you see the spin in this? Just like a lawyer to spin. And I'm telling you, in respect, and this is part of the reason why people don't respect lawyers and they don't listen to them because they lie and they elevate things and take it out of perspective. When I was a UT police officer, I have a picture, a historic picture of me pouring out beer. We'd confiscate it, take it to the UT Police Department, and there's a historic picture of me pouring out beer on a bush at the UT Police Department. And so we confiscated alcohol. It wasn't valuable, serious, highfalutin property. It was something that we took away from students to try to keep them out of trouble, to try to keep them from getting dead. And he's elevating alcohol to he's pouring out his property. No, he's pouring out something that's a dangerous drug, not taken with responsibility. And when you're walking down the street in clear violation of law with an open container of tequila, will get you faster intoxicated than even beer, and you show contempt for a cop, then that is property. But when he violated the law, then he should have poured it out. So you see the spin in what he's saying. Totally ludicrous argument, and that's why people don't trust police, because he says there's no argument in favor of that police. There's a lot of argument in favor of that police. It is not out of bounds for the police officer to stop somebody walking down the road in an open container city and ask them authoritatively to pour it out or go to jail. That's a good deal. If they offer you that deal, pour it out. First of all, don't be doing that in the first place. So let's go on with this dialogue here. Southern Doors Law, I like to call him. Now, I like a lot of the stuff he says. A lot of it I don't.
Doesn't serve an enforcement purpose. It starts looking like something other than a lawful order. If the violation is arrestable and the evidence of the violation is the alcohol itself, you cannot logically order the suspect to destroy the evidence of that crime if you intend to take an enforcement action against it. Because without that alcohol, you can't prove that the thing that's in the bottle is illegal. Ordering a suspect that you're getting ready to charge with a crime to destroy.
So here we go. Now what he's arguing is that the officer's telling him to pour out his alcohol or go to jail. So he's pouring out his alcohol, and he's saying that now he can't charge him because he's pouring out the evidence, that there is no evidence because he's poured out the evidence. That's his argument. Well, you know, the officer can testify that, and there's a video camera on, and there's a bottle of tequila, and he's walking down the sidewalk, and the bottle is open. He has the man has the plug in his hand, and so it's not. It is open, and he is arguing that because the police officer pours out a dangerous drug, so that young man can't continue consuming it, get drunk, or not know what he's doing, commit a crime, which is what happens a lot. Drunk people are involved in a lot of crimes. About 40% responsible for people involved in violent crimes are under the influence. That's a high number. You take the alcohol away, there's less people involved in crimes. It stops their inhibitions, makes them more willing to commit violent crimes. Now, it's not the sole reason, but if you cut down on the alcohol excessive consumption, then you cut down on violent crimes. And he's arguing that the evidence isn't any good because the police officer's pulling it out, that he has no evidence that that's stupid for him to do. No, it's not. It's perfectly logical for him to pour out the alcohol because he's getting rid of what that man's going to drink to make himself more drunk and possibly involved in violent crime. Young people under the influence of alcohol commit horrific crimes more than other ages. That is the truth. He's trying to do some crime prevention. Kudos to the officer for doing that. He's arguing that because he pours out the alcohol. Pouring out the alcohol is crime prevention measure. Don't allow him to get drunk or to commit a crime. He's already got contempt for cop. Lord knows what he would do to somebody else if he acts this way to a cop. I mean, how's he going to act to you? And just because he poured the alcohol out, he's saying that the evidence is gone. He can't even charge him with a crime anymore. Really? I think that's a little ludicrous. The officer poured the alcohol out. He can smell it. He knows what it is. He can testify in court. I smelled it as I was pouring it out. It was alcohol. And you can't really tell what brand of alcohol it is, but you can tell it's alcohol. It's in a tequila bottle. Anybody looking at that video camera, beyond a reasonable doubt, it's not proof positive in the court, but beyond a reasonable doubt, even though the officer poured out what he calls evidence, there's still evidence there that it was alcohol in an open container. He could still charge him. It would still stick. Now, he's arguing because he poured it out. It's over now. No, it's not. It's not over at all. It's what the officer's trying to accomplish is taking the alcohol, pouring it on the ground instead of that young man's stomach to make him more drunk, more likely to commit crimes. Now, that's something you learn in criminology, that young people are involved in more crimes than any other group of people. People tend to age out of crime. He's young and getting alcohol in his system. That's a high likelihood that he's going to do something a lot stupider than walking down the sidewalk with an open bottle of tequila. To eliminate one of the causes of crime, intoxication by younger people, is a perfectly sane thing to do. There's nothing wrong with him pouring out alcohol, and he makes it like he's pouring out his very valuable property. There's a lot of people wish they hadn't had that drink and they'd throw that alcohol away, knowing what happened after the fact. And so there's nothing wrong with the officer, what he's doing. You see the spin and the change in the whole environment and circumstances that this attorney that nobody hardly believes attorneys anymore. And this is why the ludicrousness of this argument. If you're going to bring an argument against a police officer, I agree, you have every constitutional right. I agree with that. Bring a better one than this junk, this trash. And he says that he's infuriated about it. Well, I mean, you can go outside and get infuriated about the weather, but you know what they say? If that's the worst problem you got, you don't have any problems. If this is the worst problem this attorney's got, then wow, he's doing pretty good, because no one got hurt in this incident. No one got killed. No one got nothing. In fact, no future crime was committed by this young man to someone else, and he did commit a crime against the officer. And we'll show you the video. So keep watching. Keep watching here. So yeah, here we go.
The evidence in your presence makes absolutely no sense in furthering any sort of law enforcement objective.
Yeah, it does.
He handed you the bottle. You dumped it out. You destroyed the evidence. So you actually have no way.
So it says it makes no sense in any law enforcement perspective to pour it out. Yeah, it does. It keeps that young man from getting drunker and hurting himself or someone else. Wow. I mean, you can say anything you want. That doesn't make it right.
Now of charging this guy with a crime,
Yeah,
because your ego is so fragile and you are completely incapable of critical thinking. You now don't have any way to prove that what he consumed out of that bottle was in fact alcohol. It could be filled with.
Now you see his contempt of cop. The cop's ego. It's about the cop's ego. It wasn't about the cop's ego. The cop was doing his job. So if a cop does his job, then that's the cop's ego. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be smart with cops and be rude sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. But a little more than that happened here in this situation. And the cop didn't have an ego. If the cop if you call it an ego for a cop to enforce the law, then I wish they had more ego, because the state of Tennessee roadways would be safer if they would force the law legitimately and get more alcohol off the roads, instead of being afraid to do their job because somebody like this will make you into some kind of heinous, evil man. Now, everything that cop did wasn't perfect, but him pulling over and asking what he did is fine. Him pouring out the alcohol was a good thing. It wasn't destroying evidence. I've never seen a cop go into court and show the alcohol to the jury. I mean, you don't keep that kind of evidence. You generally keep like blood stains and things like that. Alcohol is a minor offense when it's in public, and you pour it out or go to jail. And you can prove it's alcohol. It was by the officer's testimony, by the evidence on the video. That's proof beyond a reasonable doubt, without having to prove that, maybe that man had Kool-Aid in his tequila bottle and was acting like he was acting. I think he probably had a little bit of it. So the arguments are completely ludicrous. And you see, that's what they go into court and they argue in front of a jury. I mean, this is just way off base in this case. Let's watch on.
Some other liquid like water or Sprite or whatever.
Wow.
You have no way to prove that what you in fact destroyed was alcohol.
No, it was alcohol.
So now you've got a problem.
No, you
Because
don't.
now you're getting ready to arrest him.
No, you don't.
For something that you can't prove.
Yes, you
That's
can.
really a problem.
That's
the
yeah, you
alcohol
can.
itself and the act of consuming it joined together are what make it illegal. You got no case now. Okay?
Yeah, you
That's
do.
the first thing.
Yeah, you
The second
do.
thing is,
Had every bit of a
he flips
case.
the cork with his right hand.
Yeah.
When I first saw this, I thought, first of all, it's so chicken shit to arrest somebody for that. But
No, it's not.
chicken shit is how this guy operates. You can tell by the way he acts. This is how he operates. It's all he does.
No, it's not. It's not. Here we go. Let's look at the. It's not chicken shit to enforce the law.
You can see that the cork comes back into the frame with sort of reverse momentum.
So he's flipping that cork at him.
Now it's also
He flips a cork at the officer.
It just took a funny bounce and it hit the ground and it flopped forward.
So what are you gonna do?
Possible.
What are you gonna flip a cork at a police officer? I mean, what do you think's gonna happen if you flip something at a police officer and hits him? Now that's a battery. That is a battery. Harmful or offensive touching.
Now, move.
Harmful or offensive touching.
So you're like a mascot for a gas station?
Harmful or offensive touching is a battery. An assault is putting someone in fear of a harmful offensive touching. And harmful offensive is something that would be offensive to a reasonable person. Any reasonable person, I think, would be offended with somebody flips a cork from a liquor bottle at you. That would be offensive. I know that's a minor offense, but you can't just be flipping stuff at people. That is a offense, a misdemeanor battery. And so he flipped something at the police officer. And the officer commences to arresting him for that offense. Perfectly reasonable. He shouldn't have done that. And so he got arrested for it. Now, there was a little scuffle. No one was seriously hurt. And he's calling for this officer to be put up on charges and be fired, and alleging that there's going to be a riot in that city and it causes police officers to commit suicide over a minor scuffle in a police arrest. And completely ridiculous. So we're reviewing the reviewer this time, and I like this attorney. He brags about being a former police officer. I don't know where he was a police officer at, but evidently he was too afraid to get out of his car. And his attitude about policing is totally false and totally bogus, acting like it's a good old boy situation. He should have got out and said, "Hey, fellas, how you doing? It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Would you mind just putting that down? You're making me look bad." That's not how you deal with people, because people can kill you. These people will shoot you dead. In fact, there was an officer shot and killed that he mentions in this video a few years before this incident. So they have to be concerned about their life, be ready to draw and shoot and kill. That's the truth. That's the way officers have to do. So let's listen to this about how he blows this up.
There's a general intent standard which just says that basically.
So he's, let's look at the video and we'll show you what happens here if he shows the whole video. I think he does. And what he
rolls up, immediately starts putting his hands on the guy. You had a member of your own police department that you had to bury and go make a death notification to the family, who was clearly of the mindset, based on the leadership of that police department, that he could put his hands on people and ask questions later. And unfortunately for him, and I want to be very...
And I looked that up. I looked that case up, and it was a brutal murder from a cop hater. And he completely mischaracterizes it and changes how it is. And here we go with the video. We'll show you the video right here. And here's the chief of police right here. Real honest statement from the police chief.
I am not.
An honest statement from the police chief, so it didn't go back. But an honest statement from the chief of police, not wanting to bias the investigation. And he is slamming the chief of police. And this just happened a few days ago. So a real,
He brings it over, hands it to him. The officer dumps it out, and then the guy tosses the cork of the tequila forward.
Yeah.
And all hell breaks loose.
Well, it should.
Let's check it out, and we'll talk about the law on the other side.
Okay, here, watch the video. Southern Dallas Law.
Daytona Beach Police Department. Over the past several hours, a video circulating on social media has generated significant concern regarding an arrest made by one of my officers. After a review of the body camera footage, as well as the video currently being shared online, I will acknowledge what many people have already said. The clip circulating online is concerning.
No, it's not.
After reviewing the footage, and based on concerns I personally had,
it's not concerning.
The incident be forwarded to the Office of Professional Standards for full review. The officer involved has been placed in an administrative assignment pending the outcome of the investigation. We expect our officers to handle every encounter with professionalism, patience, and sound judgment.
And that's what the officer did.
De-escalation tactics are something we train on regularly and expect to be used whenever possible.
Yeah.
Let me be clear. As chief, I will always support the men and women of the Daytona Beach Police Department when they act within the law and within our policies. At the same time, when an officer falls short of those standards, it will be addressed swiftly and appropriately. Officers are entitled to due process while the facts are carefully reviewed.
So I had enough of that, but he won't stand behind you unless he'll try to keep his damn job, and he'll throw the officer under the bus for enforcing the law.
For offering my personal opinion While
Yeah.
the internal investigation is
But
underway,
you are
so the
offering your
process can
opinion.
proceed independently and without
He just
influence.
told you what he
To
thought.
provide additional context to this incident, we will now show a portion of the officer's
Yeah, let's
body
watch
camera
this.
footage.
Yeah, watch this.
You're gonna go to jail for open container.
Open container.
Pour it out, or you're gonna go to jail for open container. Those are your options.
Now, anything in what he told him, pour it out or you're going to go to jail. Those are your options. I mean, is there anything in that was yelling or antagonistic or not, just simply enforcing the law? And that's all that's going on. He was just enforcing the law. So that and he has you can see in his hand, has a bottle of alcohol in his hand and has a cork in his hand. So
Pour it out. No, pour it out.
you poured it. So you can see it's open. And he flipped the. What he done? Yeah, he's arresting you because he flipped a cork at him.
Put your hands behind your back.
Get your hands behind your back. You need to do that.
Put your hands behind your back.
Yeah. Contempt of cop.
Put your hands behind your back, man. What did you tase me for? Hey, step back. Put your hands behind your back.
What'd you tase me for? Watch this. I'll show you what he tased him for. Let's watch this again. Now, anything about what the officer says.
You're gonna go to jail for open container. Those are your options. Here, pour it out. No, pour it out. No, you can pour it out.
So open container, and he's got the cork in his hand. Pour it out or you're going to go to jail. He hands it to the officer. The officer pours it out. According to the lawyer, he's pouring out the evidence. It's not pouring out the evidence. That you don't bring alcohol to court. You can testify that you knew it was alcohol. You smelled it when it's in an alcohol bottle. He's got the cork there. So that's a ridiculous argument that the officer should have talked to him, hey, brother, what's going on and all that. That's baloney. You don't act like that and stay alive in law enforcement. That's a bunch of baloney. And then he flips the cork at the officer and he's wondering what's going on. Don't flip a cork at a police officer. You're going to get arrested, maybe pretty harshly. So,
Step back. Stop. Yeah. Put your hands behind your back. Hey, stop. Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back, man.
yeah, put your hands behind your back, dude.
Put your hands behind your back.
Chill out.
Get back.
Stop.
Get back.
Stop.
Get back.
That's my twin.
Get back.
Stop.
Get back.
Stop. You
All right,
got
come on. Do your business. Do your business.
All he's got to do is put his hands behind his back.
That's crazy, bro.
It's not crazy.
Hey, if you come over here, you're gonna go to jail. Stop talking to him. I'm right here. Stop talking to him. I'm right here. What are we doing? Yeah. You like being on my back or what? You like being on my back or what?
Man, Daytona Beach. And here's his
I can, if you let me, smart guy.
Daytona Beach cop beats compliant man brutally over open container. Is he compliant? That doesn't look compliant to me.
You trying to be tough? You trying to be tough? Weak ass guy. About that, man.
So he's got him cuffed now.
What are we doing? Yeah. You don't even know what you're doing. You poured that bottle out and just dropped it. You dumbass. Right there.
So this is the part where he probably goes too far.
When I threw the cork at you, I'm gonna take you out, didn't I? I'm gonna take you out, didn't I? Yep. Let go. He not over there fighting you. Stop. I'm gonna take you out, didn't I? Cut the out. I'm gonna take you out. Stop. You're weak. Stop. You're weak. Why the f does he hit you?
Now that's the part that might get the officer in a little trouble, because he let what that man was saying get to him, and he holds his head down, which is fine, but then he takes him to the ground, and when he strikes him in the head when he's handcuffed. Now that doesn't look too good. Now whether he should be brought up on charges, I don't know, but the original stop and everything was perfectly fine. And this is unbridled news and the truth. And so everything else was completely legitimate and kosher, no problem. The officer doing his job. And he has acted a little harshly here and struck the man in the head, and that is wrong. Whether or not he should be brought up on charges and fired, I don't know. I don't think so. I think he should be retrained not to do that. And he's trying to enforce the law. He let what the man said get to him, and the man was resisting after the fact. So I don't think that he should have been fired for that. But look what this man is saying about this whole incident. So he's saying that it's going to cause riots and going to cause bad stuff to happen.
All you try to do is solve the problem, Tim.
So he's saying that it's going to cause serious riots and all kinds of bad stuff happening because of that minor incident where the man wasn't seriously injured. It's no big deal. And I don't agree with that. What do y'all think? Trying to make a mountain out of a molehill, and it's one of the reasons why, quite frankly, people don't trust the police. He's saying that the precious alcohol. Well, alcohol is not that precious. Alcohol is not the direct cause of crime. It acts as a significant catalyst by disrupting brain functions that normally restrain impulsive and aggressive behaviors. Research consistently shows that alcohol use is more closely associated with violent crimes than other legal or illegal substances. So the officer's trying to prevent him from getting drunker and committing a crime. He's walking down and committing another crime. He's walking down the sidewalk, committing a crime, and he's trying to say alcohol is a wonderful product, and he's trying to make him pour it out. That it's horrible that he does that. I don't think so. You can look at the science yourself. He's enforcing the law. Less alcohol, the less problems that you'll have, especially among young people who are notoriously, the age crime curve holds true throughout all societies, throughout all generations and all decades throughout history. The age crime curve says that people age out of crime. The younger people commit more crimes, and we all have. I'm not picking on younger people. And people, as they grow older, age out of crime. They commit less crimes the older you get. It's the well-known age crime curve. Look it up. They teach you that in criminology. And younger people involved in more violent crimes than older people. Older people are sometimes involved in violent crimes. But I'm talking about the number and serious nature. A lot of them, more of them are committed by people his age. And the fact that he's trying to have him pour out his alcohol is a good thing. And so that's just completely ludicrous what he's trying to say about that. So homicides and assaults, estimated 50% of homicides and assaults involve a perpetrator, victim, or both who have been drinking. So it can even cause you to be the victim of a crime. Alcohol is not some great, valuable merchandise. I mean, you might have paid a lot for it. You might not have paid anything for it. And I'm not saying that alcohol should be made illegal. I mean, I'm just saying it causes a lot of trouble, and people ought to be very careful with it. I personally don't drink at all. Sexual violence, approximately 37% of sexual assaults and rapes are committed by offenders under the influence of alcohol. But that valuable substance that this lawyer is trying to say, aggravated assault, roughly 27% to 46% of aggravated assaults are linked to alcohol use. So that officer was actually doing his community service by enforcing the law, which he should do. Do I think he should be fired? Hell no. Hell no. He should probably be punished for punching a man in the head, but I don't think that he should be fired over that. And let's look at he's arguing against the police, and he's a lawyer, and they won't let me be a lawyer because I'm so honest. But he's arguing against the police, and he's all highfalutin attorney. But let's look at the numbers. This is American ethics rating of 23 professions are at or below recent levels. Please tell how you would rate the honesty and ethics standards of people in these different fields. Very high, high, average, or very low. So percentage very high and high. So this is a list of a survey done where Americans rated the professions of different people, how much they thought they were honest. Number one is nurses. People trust in nurses. People trust in nurses. Now, I got in a lawsuit one time for protecting a nurse, and the case was filed against me for false arrest, false imprisonment, and it was dismissed after a jury trial. It wasn't dismissed, went to a jury trial. The jury decided in my favor that I did not falsely arrest anybody, that I didn't use any excessive force. A jury decided that I didn't do anything wrong, and I didn't. I was simply protecting a nurse. A nurse has the highest amount of people trust nurses, and they think they have high ethical standards, and I do too. That's the highest respected professions. Veterinarians, people that take care of animals. Engineers, dentists, medical doctors, all these have high, people trust what they say. Now, doctors, you need to get a second opinion sometimes. Pharmacists have a high level of honesty, integrity, and people respect what they say for the most part. Police officers are 7th on this list, so people respect and believe what police officers say. I was a police officer before the Rodney King incident. It used to be very high. If you said something, it was gold. You didn't have to argue for it. If you said something was true, you were asked, it was taken as true. You didn't need any more. Since the Rodney King incident, that changed things in the 90s. And now they're number 7 on the list. People still trust police officers, but look he's arguing against the police officer. And attorneys are number 15 on the list of people that they think you're honest, and they think that they have ethical standards of people in the legal field. People don't trust lawyers. Now, that's a fact. And so that police officer, people trust him more than they would trust that attorney. So if that police officer were trying to get that defendant who he put in jail, got out of the charges, and I think they end up, and he's going to argue that it's not, he couldn't prove it was alcohol that he poured out, that he destroyed the evidence. And the officer testifies that I smelled it when I poured it out, and I believe it was alcohol. And the jury listens to the officer's testimony, and he's listened to his attorney say, well, you destroyed the evidence. And they also look at the video and the bottle of liquor and it being open, and they're going to believe the officer above the lawyer that's trying to argue that no crime was committed, which is exactly what he said, that he couldn't prove it because he poured out. So that's not even accurate. Lawyers are number 15 on the list. Nurses, veterans, engineers, dentists, medical doctors, pharmacists, police officers, 7. People believe police officers, and they should for the most part. College teachers, police officers are more believable than college teachers. Imagine that. Psychiatrists, clergy. People believe police officers more than they believe clergy, which that's on them. Labor union leaders, bankers, journalists are just barely above lawyers. Imagine that. People don't believe the fake news. And below lawyers is state governors. People don't believe state governors. Imagine that. Why would they not believe that? So if you're a lawyer and a state governor, boy, people really think you're lying. Now, I'm not a licensed attorney. I have a legal education and I passed the bar exam, but they won't license me because I am honest. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running for governor. So people don't believe that lawyer for the most part. He's fighting an uphill battle. He knows it. He's being overly dramatic, and he said he was angry about that. You know, you can be angry about the weather if you want to. It's not going to make any difference. So we are fighting the state government on several fronts to exercise our right and protect all of Tennesseans. And we're getting a lot of fight back from the state government. So we just received Friday a notice. We've sued them in federal court, tried to get my law license. I just received Friday their motion to dismiss my federal lawsuit, and I'm going to answer that. I may go over it on the video about the ludicrousness of this circular argument that they have no argument. They have a gun. So they filed a motion to dismiss. We'll answer that within 21 days. We're on the governor's ballot, suing them in court on the governor's ballot, trying to fight the state government, people in power, for you. And we also asked for a public records request involving some serious wrecks involving police cars. This is your tax-paid gas money, your tax-paid officers, and your tax-paid police. And there is no video out about these incidents. There's video out about that incident, and I think it was officer acting appropriately, except for one minor incident. But we have asked for public records concerning 4 wrecks that happened in a matter of about 7 weeks. And the state of Tennessee sent us back. We asked for the records if involving the wrecks to try to find out. One involved a wreck in Maryville where it was on a world stage, where we had the vice president, J.D. Vance, in Maryville coming to an event, and 2 police officers ran into each other in vehicles. One was on a motorcycle, Maryville officer, and a THP trooper slammed into each other. No other people involved. So one of the police officers did something wrong. And we'd like to know what happened. And I wrote the state to find out if an accident report had been completed, any finding. And then we also had a city officer that involved in a pursuit, in a non-law enforcement incident where he wasn't running emergency equipment. He was on Kingston Pike, wasn't on a call, and according to them, and there was a wreck involving a fatality. Someone was killed. I'd like to know what happened in that wreck. And then also a incident in Blount County where a Blount County deputy was in pursuit of a motorcycle and ended up slamming into a tree, resulting in his fatality. Now, that is the only information about that wreck that has come out. They've charged the man fleeing in that wreck, in the Blount County wreck, where an officer in pursuit slammed into a tree, resulting in his own demise. And then we had an incident with Tennessee Highway Patrol in January, also within about a 7-week period of time, in pursuit near Kingston Pike, and the car evidently wrecked, and 2 people were dead in that incident. And we have written the Tennessee Department of Safety Public Records, and I asked for information about those incidences, and they wrote me back a letter, and they said that they would not answer my request because, and I marked it down here, they said because I wasn't specific enough in my request. And they weren't required to make up documents to answer my request. But my request specifically says, pursuant to the Tennessee Public Records Act, I request confirmation of whether a Tennessee Highway Patrol crash reported was completed. So I just want to know if there's a report completed and whether a crash report number has been assigned for the following incidents. So I asked for specifically if there was a crash report done. I didn't even ask for the crash report because they may not give it to me. And I asked for a crash report number, whether a crash report was done and a crash report number. That's pretty specific. I asked for confirmation whether a crash report exists in those 4 instances. The crash report number, I asked for whether it exists, the crash report number, the current status completed pending under investigation of those 4 accidents that were very serious involving police officers. If any portion was withheld, please cite the specific statutory basis. And I talk about November 14th, 2025, Lamar Alexander Parkway, US 321 at Merritt Road, collision involving THB vehicle, Maryville police officer, Officer Justin Brown, who was seriously injured. They haven't identified the trooper. I don't think they should, but I just want to know what happened. These are our tax-paid police officers. And also the Knox County, December 21st, 2025, just before 7 p.m., Kingston Pike and North Shore Drive involving a KPD Mark cruiser. And THP is supposed to be investigating that, and it resulted in a fatality. And also the Knox County, January 1st, 2026, fatal crash of Paper Mill Drive, Kingston Pike area following a THP pursuit. And I want to know whether or not a report is being done, whether or not it's completed, pending, the status, and the number. That's all I've asked for specifically. And I look forward to your responses. I got on the screenshot, and the response I got was wasn't detailed enough, and they don't have to make up a document to answer my request. So, you know, they're going to make me have to sue them to get simple, basic information from the state of Tennessee, so I can report the news to you, which is pretty outrageous. You know, what are they covering up? And they don't want me to put out truthful information about what these people in government power are doing. So let's talk about the news media, other channels. And I've put out the truth. No matter which side it's on, I'm going to tell you just what I believe based on the facts and my life experience, what's the truth about situations. So we are not being mentioned in the news media to any kind of large extent about our political campaign, me and you running for governor. Now the onus is on us. The reason why they're not mentioning me, and I don't hold it against them, I really don't, is because they don't believe we're viable, that we have the chance of winning. And if you look at things from their perspective, then that is very true. Why should they waste time on a candidate that's in their opinion not going to win, has no viable chance of winning? So it is up to us, and I'll put the onus on me. It is definitely up to us, me and you, and most Tennesseans, to prove that we are a viable candidate. And it's us, we. I'm running for you, not me. It's the elite people versus all the great people. It's the dirty, crooked, elite people, for the most part, versus all of us. And there are millions more of us than there are them. They had over 1 million people win the governor's race the last time. There are several million, almost 4 million people who didn't participate. And if we flip a few votes, we only need to wake up 20%. So I'm talking to all the people that didn't participate, didn't think your vote mattered. If we get a small proportion of y'all, we will be able to win this, and we'll be in the news. So the onus is on us to become apparently viable. And I assure you, if the news media starts seeing us reach levels that we have continued to, and even greater, 2.3 million people, on our way to 3 million people probably in the next few months on this channel, if you will subscribe to it and help me and contribute to the channel financially if you can, then they will start chasing us down, and we'll have to decide whether or not we want to be interviewed by them. We can tell them no. Now, right now, they wouldn't give me an interview if I asked for one. And I don't blame them. That's honest, unbridled truth, because it doesn't appear to them like we're viable. So I don't like the fake news. I really don't. And then there's some good people in the news. My favorite channel is Channel 10. They've treated me recently with respect and dignity, which I appreciate that. But it's not up to them to come and drag us out of non-viability and put us on a spotlight stage with people who are probably going to win unless we can fight them back. So we have to prove viability. I mean, that's just the honest truth. We don't need to have hard feelings about stuff that is just the way it is, because news is not going to cover stuff that's not news. So I'm just telling you the truth. We need to get to where we appear viable. And we are not yet, even with 2.3 million people, but we can. There's hope there. So subscribe to the channel, share and like it, and it's up to us, me and you, the millions of Tennesseans that didn't vote, and we'll flip some of the other ones, to show that we have a viable chance. An independent candidate can win in Tennessee. I believe that. I wouldn't run if I didn't think I could win. And at the very minimum, we will punch them in the face, symbolically, so to speak. So it's up to us to prove viability. It's up to me to prove that we can possibly win. No hard feelings against the news. Saying that, now I do have the Tennessee Lookout just published a full candidate list for the governor's race. They mentioned the three Republican leading candidates. They failed to mention any of the independent candidates, including me. So, they are ran by a man from another country, a Swiss company, the Tennessee Lookout. Now who the only candidate they left out who's actually fought the corruption that they refused to cover is Charles Van Morgan. So I'm on the official ballot of the Secretary of State. And that's not an opinion, that's a legal fact. But according to the Tennessee Lookout, I don't exist. So there is bias in the news reporting in the state of Tennessee, and that's one of the biases that is wrong. And the media decides who's a legitimate candidate before any Tennessean casts a vote. Now they pick their field and their narrative, and they expect you to follow along, and that's journalism, and it's also a form of gatekeeping. It also is, but we need to prove that we're a viable candidate. So the onus is on us. So the Tennessean is is funded by the state's newsroom, the largest state-focused nonprofit news network in the county. And ask yourself who funds organizations like that and what candidates they prefer to elevate. So the Tennessean Lookout is bankrolled by a Swiss billionaire and launched inside a liberal dark money network. They have policy against giving candidates a platform, but they just gave three of them a huge platform. Apparently that policy extends to pretending some candidates don't exist at all. So let's look at some of the other fake news. Now, like I said, I'm fair, unbiased, unbridled news as far as I can be. Everybody's just a little bit biased. And if I didn't think that I shouldn't be governor, I wouldn't run. But let's talk about the biased news media. So here's an article in a news show, and I won't give them credit because it's so bad about me. But when I was running for city council, it talks about a candidate declared that there's no reason we can't be driving over that right now, talking about the Gay Street Bridge. And a lot of people call it the Henley Street Bridge, but it's the Henley Bridge and the Gay Street Bridge. So you don't call Henley Street, it's Henley Bridge. But when the city council race was going on, I was on the ballot and I was trying to prove viability, and did. I mean, I knocked on 10,000 doors in this city, but and got votes, not as many as they counted. I think it was a biased election and rigged. I don't think they counted all my votes. And so one of the candidates said that you can drive over that that Gay Street Bridge right now, one of the issues in the campaign was opening up the Gay Street Bridge, and they haven't done that. A candidate that wanted to open that bridge was not elected. That bridge won't be open. So that's there's consequences to elections. One of the consequences to this election is that bridge is still closed. It's going to be closed until you get some people in office that want to open it. So one of the candidates said, and they claim that it is closed because it's got major mechanical issues, that it was dangerous. And they fixed it enough to where you can walk or ride a bicycle, but they claim that it is too dangerous for cars that can't bear the weight, which makes sense. But this other candidate, not me, said you can't even drive across it. This candidate said you can drive across that bridge now. There's nothing wrong with it. That's what she said. There's no reason we can't be driving over that right now. And I didn't say that. I mean, you can look at the damage. They've shown that. And there was something wrong with that bridge. There was absolutely something wrong with that bridge. And I never said that. Another candidate said that. They got way more votes than I did. Now, after I got kicked out of through the primary in this hate box of liberal Knoxville, there's some good people here. It's also a liberal hate sounding board in this area that thinks they're going to quiet me up. It's not going to happen. I could care less what you say. I care about the truth, and your lies are not going to stop me. I mean, look at the lies I've been up against, and I haven't stopped from people in judicial robes that have lied on me. Do you think I'm going to let nuts on YouTube channel intimidate me into not speaking the truth? I mean, you have an elevated opinion of yourself if you think that affects you. I'll only respond when I feel like it. If I don't, I'm not going to. You're not worth the time. But thank you for commenting. It helps the algorithm. But she said the bridge was nothing wrong with it. And they showed pictures. There's something wrong with it. And then they ran me down. She got more votes than me. How do you do that? Because she had that Republican elevator lifting her up. And I was running for the people, not on a party ticket. But they accused me, and they didn't even accuse her. They accused her, city council candidate, I'm not even going to say her name, according to the campus report at Knox County Republican Party candidate forum in June, she declared, there is no reason we can't be driving over that right now. Fellow candidate Charles Van Morgan, now they're talking about me. She said you can't even drive across it all, which is not true. That we could be driving across it right now, which is not true. You couldn't drive across it. Something wrong with it. There's pictures. There's something wrong with it. I believe it. So she's lying and got more votes than me. And then they fellow candidate Charles Van Morgan. This one they didn't say she was dangerous rhetoric or anything like that about her. But this is how biased the news media is, because it's a Republican candidate. So we're not going to completely annihilate the Republican Party because they got a lot of protection in that elite group building them up. So Republican fellow candidate Charles Van Morgan live streamed himself from the Henley Bridge at Friday rush hour, showing traffic backed up, claiming the city is lying about the Gay Street Bridge being broken beyond repair. And I believe they are lying about it being broken beyond repair. And I mean, just think about that. As part of an anti-car, pro-bicycle conspiracy. And conspiracy. It's not a pro-bicycle, anti-car conspiracy. They do have measures in the city of Knoxville that cuts down on vehicular traffic on cars. That is the only way that we can make a living, and food comes into Knoxville. It is a pro-bicycle, and you can call it a conspiracy, people in government conspiring to shut down cars and only have bicycles for the most part on the roadways. Now, that's not just absurd. That's not like saying that the bridge is not broken at all. We could drive a car right across it, because you can take pictures. That can be proven or disproven. And they're saying about me, and listen what they're saying about me. This stuff is, that they're really trying to demonize me. Good luck with that, because I'll just tell you the flat out truth about it. So they say that I'm a conspiracy. The green energy thing wants to shut down cars, gas engines, and they want people to walk or ride on bicycles. That's not a conspiracy. If you ask the green energy people, they'll tell you that's exactly what they want to do. They're not hiding it. For environmental purposes, I don't agree with that. That's not a conspiracy. That is the truth from their own damn mouths. I'm not saying the bridge couldn't be open at all. I'm not saying that the bridge was completely repaired. They're lying about it. You could drive across it right now. That's what the other candidate said. And they didn't accuse them of dangerous rhetoric. I mean, that's pretty dangerous to try to drive across that bridge when it could fall in. And that might be construed as dangerous rhetoric. What I said that claiming the city is lying about the bridge being broken beyond repair. Now, anything can be repaired, and the city was saying that the bridge was broken beyond repair. And that's not true. It's not broken beyond repair. They can fix that bridge. They choose not to. So that's not a conspiracy, part of an anti-car, pro-bicycle conspiracy. That is the truth. That bridge can be fixed. I stick by that statement. Now, they're saying that that is dangerous rhetoric for me to say. I don't believe the city of Knoxville. And they're telling you that the Gay Street Bridge can't be fixed, because it absolutely can be fixed. And they're saying, because I claim that the bridge can be fixed, that we don't just have to walk across it right now, that it's not beyond repair. I mean, they built it in the 1800s. If they had technology to build it and have traffic across it then, can we not, and vehicles across it in the 1900s, do we not have the capabilities in 2026 to fix that bridge where cars can go across it? Absolutely. So how is that lying about the Gay Street Bridge being broken beyond repair? They are lying about the Gay Street Bridge being broken beyond repair. That doesn't make any sense. So the Gay Street Bridge is broken beyond repair, can never be fixed? Yeah, it can easily be fixed. They can fix it tomorrow. Just go out there and get engineers and people working on it. It could be fixed in 8 hours, in a day. The bridge is not open because they choose not to have it open, because they want all of us to walk, and they want to drive in big fancy cars. That's the truth. That's not conspiracy. That's the truth. Look at Cumberland Avenue. They made it just 2 lanes down through there, and huge for walking. They've closed down roads in the UT area. They're trying to cut out vehicular traffic. It's going to that. So they said that not only is that rhetoric false, me saying that the bridge is not broken beyond repair, that rhetoric is false. That's not false. That's the truth. They're lying when they tell you the bridge is broken beyond repair. It can be fixed. I mean, that's not a hard leap to jump. Wow, that's dangerous rhetoric for me to be saying the bridge is not broken beyond repair. I mean, that's how they frame things. Not only is that rhetoric false, it's dangerous, fueling the hostility some drivers already feel towards sharing the road. I never been intentionally run off the road myself, but I know plenty of cyclists who have. So they're accusing me of fueling hostility by saying the city is lying in their allegation that that bridge is broken beyond repair for vehicle traffic, and that I'm fueling hostility of drivers toward bicycles. Wow, whopping leap. They must have had some lawyer write that. And that's the news media saying that about me. The defamation and false stuff. There's nothing violent about me. Not a thing. I'm on the ballot trying to win hearts and minds peacefully through the system, trying to get public office. That's not violent. And they're framing this as me being violent. Well, that's dangerous rhetoric towards me. What if a bicycle lover wants to clobber me over the head? They better not do that. I mean, you're going to grab hold of something, you're going to swing at something that is not a good ideal for your own safety, I guarantee you. But that's the kind of framing. And I'm honest and fair. The news media sees no viability in this campaign right now. They're going to chase me down, want to interview me about what I would do when I was in government power, because they don't believe I'm ever going to have government power, especially not at the governor's level. So I'm not upset at them for not chasing me down, saying because they don't think I'm a viable candidate, and following the other candidates on the conveyor belt, because the way things have gone in the past, that's what is likely to happen. But I think outside the box, and we can win. Try to help me win. Subscribe to the channel, like and share. At the same time, we're working against defamation. Now, that's just not just leaving me alone, not saying a Bible. That's saying don't vote for this man. He spreads dangerous rhetoric and lies on the government. when I'm not telling a lie, the bridge can be fixed. It is not fixed beyond repair. That's obvious statement. What part of that is dangerous rhetoric? And accusing me of that is now that is wrong. Now that's just not saying I'm viable. That's saying, well, you might be viable, and we're going to quell that little fire out and make it seem like you're a dangerous, violent person. And if that's the best you got, I mean, bring it, because they are going after me in a horrific way, and they have since I've been running. And that's not right for them to defame me, and they need to be stopped when they do that. So let's look over this. We're going to go over tomorrow. We're going to cover probably cover the sheriff's race in Knoxville, and I want to cover in closing some of the stuff, the defamation. Now they defame me. They say that I did stuff that I didn't do, and this man here did it. He's now deceased now, at a relatively young age. God works in mysterious ways. So he endangered society, and his dangerous rhetoric towards me caused my children to be in danger. And he has a legacy, according to them, of one of greatness. And his legacy is one that caused people, while he was in a position of leadership, people to get killed. That's the truth. And we're going to talk about some of the defamation, not just that in the paper, where they exploit things. And we're going to talk about some of the defamations that I can prove in court that we have to overcome. They've got me in a hole as far as running for public office, because they're slandering me, and judges have slandered me, put stuff in official court rulings with the legitimacy of a judge and a robe in the law that are false, absolutely, positively false. So I've got to overcome that defamation to rise up to a viability level. So that's what we're doing. That's the situation they've got us. I'm not a sore loser. I'm not bitter. We have to overcome their defamation. If they don't want me to tell the truth about what they're doing, then admit that you lied. Until then, I'll keep on spreading the truth about your rogue courts, and I'm not the only one saying that. So let's look at now. They won't give me my law license, although I graduated from law school, had a bachelor's degree before that, had an advanced degree. I'm more educated than most lawyers in sociology, and passed the bar exam twice. I've tried twice. There's no reason won't give me my law license. They're not giving me my law license because they're blackballing you. I'm standing between them and you on your side. They're blackballing me because I'm for the mass populace of citizens, the great Tennesseans, against the rogue, crooked, corrupt government. And so we're gonna show you some of their defamation from their court cases, just so you'll know, because we got to overcome that. And this is the story. Other candidates talk about corruption, and they're in the government now, talk about being an insider, and they're in the government now, and do nothing about the corruption, and they're in the government now, and they want a different position in the government, a little higher or a switch in position. And none of them have ever been through the fire, have never been mistreated by the government, and have lived their campaign. And so I'm for real. I've been mistreated by the government. So at my evaluation, they say I was a terrible employee. Ronald McDonald, this is 3/29/2012, went into the CAD system. My supervisor had already filled it out on the very day that I was fired. My rating, exceptional. Trooper Morgan is constantly prepared when attending any type of court, making sure that all necessary information is available to protect cases. To the fullest extent of the law, he will confer with the prosecuting attorney for guidance on more serious cases. He's professional in his demeanor while attending court, and avoids any conflict with court personnel. That is Exhibit 20017. Evaluation date is 02/20 29/12, when it was entered into the CAD system. It had already been entered before I was fired, and then it is in the CAD system. And this is 12/31/08. Trooper Morgan always reports to court prepared and on time and gave clear, thorough testimony. He thoroughly reviews the facts of his cases, and when needed, he consults the district attorney. So this right here, Captain Satterfighter said that she gave me counseling for disagreeing with not for disagreeing with supervisors, but having verbal altercations in the court with officers. Exhibit, and that completely the major, she got promoted to major, was captain over the Knoxville district. Says that I had confrontations with courts, and my immediate supervisor says that I didn't. So one of them's lying, and Major Satterfighter's lying with the THP, because you get promoted higher for lying in the Highway Patrol. And also, let's talk about their defamation of me, if we have it here. And they lie about stuff. They lie a lot. And so we may have to, well, here it is. So here is, they refuse to give me my law license because they say I'm not candid. A lawyer has to be candid in their dealings with the court, which I am. So in the brief by Attorney Martin, which is an attorney that was bringing a case against me while I was an exceptional employee, according to their own records, she was bringing a case against me and alleging that I did something wrong. And attorneys, and they won't let me be attorney because of the incident where I drove past a wreck that I didn't see. And she alleged that I said, now I passed the wreck because I didn't see it as a wreck. I thought it was a parked car, which any officer would have. Expert witness testified that that's what, that was reasonable for me to only see the tail end of the cars off the road in the dark. And the attorney is, for them, and I can't be an attorney, they say I'm not honest. And this is a licensed attorney for the state of Tennessee, just happens to be an African-American attorney, female attorney. So they should have to be honest too, right? I mean, they're holding me to a standard of somebody holding me responsible for what somebody else does. I would like to hold them responsible for what they do. And they're licensed attorneys. They have a duty to not give false information to the court, appeals court, Supreme Court. Now, let me show you how a licensed attorney, and I was going to law school at that time, trying to be licensed, swearing under oath to tell the truth. A licensed attorney lied in their brief. You're not supposed to do that. Something that is not subject to interpretation, that can be proved. So she wrote a brief trying to say that I knew the wreck was back there because I seen it, and changed what I said, although it's in recording all over the world. And an attorney lied in her brief about what I said that can be proven that I didn't say what she said I said. So that is attorney misconduct. It's violating the rules of ethics, giving false information to a courtroom. I can't be a lawyer because they claim I'm not honest, yet an attorney that got me fired wrongfully was dishonest, and I can prove it. Imagine that. So I'm just showing you the evidence, just black and white. But the truth doesn't matter in their courtrooms. What matters is they have a gun, and if you don't like it, then you know, they got a gun to your head. That's the way they do business. It's not about arguing facts and law in a civilized warfare manner. I mean, if it were that way, if they lie about stuff, they should get sanctioned. But if they lie about stuff, what they say is held as the truth. And I'll just show you. This isn't exploiting. This is just telling you the truth. And I'm just fighting their defamation against me. They're the ones that have put me in a ditch that I'm trying to climb out of to be viable. So, brief by Attorney Martin to administrative law judge. On the video, grievant, after his dispatch, is heard to say that's going to be the vehicle before he got to the scene of the Anito incident. So that's what Attorney Martin said in her brief to the judge that went up on appeal to the appeals court, that went up on appeal to the Supreme Court, they went up on appeal to the United States Supreme Court, that I haven't heard what they're going to do about the case. They haven't answered me. And so I even filed an appeal to the United States Supreme Court. I'll fight back. But she wrote in her deposition to the court that Rule 1.2 says a lawyer shall not counsel a client to engage, assist a client in conduct that a lawyer knows or reasonably should know is criminal or fraudulent. Candor toward the tribunal. A lawyer shall not knowingly make a false statement of fact or law to the tribunal. She can't make a false statement of fact to the tribunal. Now, she said that I said, quotes me, that's going to be the vehicle. So she's quoting me wrongly and turning that into the court, and I can prove it's wrong. So she's violating a rule of candor, because what she's saying is, I knew the vehicle was back there, trying to incriminate me. And if you think that you are right in your case, you have every right to bring in every evidence and look at that evidence in any light that you want to, in order to prove your case that you believe in with all your heart. What you cannot do, absolutely what she did in this case, a licensed attorney in the state of Tennessee, and what they will do to you, I'm telling you, they do it all the time, and they don't care. It's even obvious. Is you cannot make up evidence and turn it into the court that is false. That's what she did. She said that I said that's going to be the vehicle. That because I knew it was a vehicle, because I knew the vehicle was wrecked when I passed it, and I intentionally passed a wrecked vehicle. That's what she's saying. But you can listen to the video, the exact narrative of the video. Turn to it and watch it. What I said was not what she quoted me as saying turned into the judge. Now, did she get sanctioned, punished? Did it get overturned on appeal for her lies? No, they go right along with her lies, and the judge adds lies. That's why we need to fight the state government. Those lies didn't affect just me. They took me off the road, took my job away, my medical insurance away. They caused more people to get killed on Tennessee roadways. Here's what I said. The false assertion, the brief by Miss Martin had lies that could be proven false, which is an ethical violation. The false assertion is obvious that Trooper Morgan, while stopped, knew the vehicle was back there, wrecked, because he saw it when he passed it. They falsely say he knew because he said he knew that's going to be the vehicle. That's what they said. I said, she quoted me, turn that into the court. But that is not what I said. I said 10-4, that's probably going to be the vehicle. Probably is a high probability, a high likelihood, but not certainty. She's changing it to that. I said that's going to be the vehicle. I knew it because I knew it when I passed it. I didn't know it when I passed it. I thought it was a parked car. I told them that. And when they dispatched me to the wreck, I said 10-4, that's probably going to be the vehicle. See, she took the word probably out to try to incriminate me. I didn't know. I said probably. And if you see what I'm saying, they'll do that to you in briefs. And if you point that out to the judge will say, you can't speak. Don't worry about it. You're not allowed to say that. So if the Department of Safety has a case, Trooper Morgan saw the vehicle and chose to ignore it, then give them the evidence that you have to prove that. Even if you think that to be true, you cannot make up evidence you know or should know is not true to prove what you believe. Listen to that video. Listen to what I say. Mr. Morgan has testified numerous times under oath that I did not see and explained in detail why the Department of Safety makes up false evidence, which is obvious to prove their false assertion. That is clear violation of ethical rules. Now, I can't be an attorney because I'm not ethical. And they got an attorney who is not ethical, turning false information to the court that impacted you. So am I not ethical, or are they not ethical? I'm telling you, the people in government power are not ethical. They caused you to get killed. Now, this is black and white. What she said in line 24 and 25, page 37 of the deposition of the information she turned into the court was a lie. Changing what I said to more incriminate me, which is absolutely false, can be proven. You can listen to the video. And Mr. Morgan testified numerous times under oath that he did not see and explain in detail why the Department of Safety makes up false evidence, which is obvious to prove their false assertion. There's a clear violation of ethical rules. There are numerous other instances in the record of false, fraudulent statements, testimony reports, and innuendo clearly on a mission to attempt to prove something that is not true. How many other false accusations are there by the Department of Safety that have hidden, and we have no way to know because they may have not complied with discovery logic? If you ask someone a question and you know the answer by fact, the person gives a false answer to something they know to be false, you ask them another question, you don't know the answer. In light of the previous false answer, how do you know that they are telling the truth since you have no way to find out? Other than Bruce Siddle, the Department of Safety's trainer who disagrees with THP, no other agency investigated that. So paragraph C prohibits lawyers from engaging in conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, deceit, misrepresentation. Such conduct reflects adversely on the lawyer's fitness to practice law. So what about that minority attorney that lied in reference to trying to incriminate me in court? But that's okay. And I've been honest about everything. And she still has her law license, but I can't get mine unless I might get them if I lie and say, okay, I've seen the car off the side of the road and intentionally passed it knowing that a young kid was burning to death. That'd be a lie. But they might give me my law license if I say that because that's what the court has said, fraudulently. So I have to go along with fraud to be an attorney in the state of Tennessee and be recognized by the Knoxville Bar. That'd be par for the course, wouldn't it? No, thank you. I'll maintain my integrity. I'm not responsible for the actions of somebody drunk, and that's on them. That's their fault. My heart is clear before God. What they've done to you, this attorney lied under oath, and what they've done to citizens in the state of Tennessee, they're going to be held responsible for. I'm trying to hold them responsible for now, and if you get me in the governor's office, we will clobber them with the truth. Some of them will go to jail, and we will administer justice and give you your constitutional rights. Unlike any other candidate, I've been through the fire. I know how wicked they are. And all these other people talk about how wicked they are. I've lived it, and I'm still here to talk about it, still here to fight it. And I'm for you. I represent the over 4 million Tennesseans who didn't participate in the election. You have the power to put me in office, and I'll represent you. I'm promising to go to a different city every month. I'll try to go to more to listen to you Tennesseans, listen to what you got to say. And even if I don't agree with it, and answer your questions about what the government's doing completely open and honest, and then I will go to Nashville and fulfill your needs. You tell me what's going on, what the government can do to you, and I do for you. That's what they're doing now, what the government can do to you, and not take care of the few elite people at the top. Some of them are going to go to jail, and we will have a government in Tennessee that serves you, the people. There's more of you than me. That's why they want to criticize me. That's why they want to stomp on me. There's more of us than you, millions more. And if I can wake up only 20% of the people that didn't participate, we win in a landslide. If I can convert some of the people that voted for Republican or Democrats, Republican or Democrats, then we can win. We're viable. It's not for the news media to make up our viability. It's up to us to prove we're viable. So if you like the campaign, then hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share your friends. Friends calling friends beats bought elections. Share this message. And the election's November the 4th, I believe. Excuse me, I think it's November the 3rd. I'll get that correct. That's kind of important. Several months in the future. And we're not going to be in the Republican-Democrat primary. I'm running as an independent. Please contribute to the campaign if you can. Contribute to the channel. Hit the square icon. Help us get money to be viable. It's up to us to prove viability. But don't listen to the lies of people in government power and the fake news that's trying to stomp on me and the fake judicial system. We'll be back on here tomorrow. Thank y'all for listening. And as I always try to say, that God loves you and I do too. Thank y'all for watching.